Ancient riots, philosophical debates, and mobs in the streets. Sounds like modern social media, right? But this was actually happening 2,000 years ago when a controversial teacher named Paul brought radical new ideas to Greece.
You know what fascinates me about this story is how it shows that human reactions to revolutionary ideas haven't really changed much over 2 millennia.
Well, let's break down what happened. Paul arrives in Thessalonica, this major Mediterranean port city, and within just 3 weeks of teaching at the local synagogue, he manages to attract such a large following that it literally causes a citywide riot.
Hmm. And what's particularly interesting is who joined his movement. The text specifically mentions a great multitude of devout Greeks and not a few of the leading women.
Right. And that social disruption leads to this incredible accusation. The opponents actually drag Paul's supporters before the city officials and charge them with turning the world upside down. I mean, can you imagine a more powerful description of social upheaval?
So, what happened when they had to flee Thessalonica?
Well, this is where it gets really interesting. They end up in Berea, and the response there is completely different. Instead of riots, the Bereans take this remarkably modern approach. They actually fact check Paul's teachings against their existing scriptures.
That's such a contrast to what we saw in Thessalonica, like comparing Twitter reactions to peer review.
Exactly. And here's what's wild: the opposition in Thessalonica actually follows Paul to Berea. They're so threatened by his message that they travel over 50 miles just to stir up trouble in another city.
You know, that kind of reminds me of how online controversies can follow people from platform to platform today.
Then comes the really fascinating part. Paul arrives in Athens, the intellectual capital of the ancient world. And get this, the text says the Athenians spent their time in nothing else but either to tell or to hear some new thing.
Oh, wow. That sounds exactly like our modern attention economy, doesn't it?
And here's where Paul makes this brilliant move. He notices they have an altar to the unknown God, like a spiritual placeholder, and uses that as his starting point to engage with these sophisticated philosophers.
The way he adapts his message for different audiences is really remarkable, from synagogue teachings to philosophical debates at the Areopagus.
Well, what's particularly striking is the three distinct reactions he gets in Athens: mockery from some, intellectual curiosity from others, and actual belief from a small group, including this fascinating character named Dionysius the Areopagite.
That pattern of responses rejection, investigation, and acceptance seems almost universal when any revolutionary idea encounters an established system.
You know what this whole story really illuminates? How societies process radical change. Whether it's religious ideas in ancient Greece or artificial intelligence today, you tend to get these same basic patterns of response.
That's such an important insight. Maybe understanding these historical patterns could help us better navigate our own conversations about challenging new ideas.
Let me wrap this up with a thought. In each city, Paul maintained his core message, but adapted how he presented it. In Thessalonica, it sparked riots. In Berea, it prompted investigation. In Athens, it generated philosophical debate. The message stayed the same, but the cultural context shaped how it was received.
And 2 millennia later, we're still seeing these same patterns play out in how societies respond to revolutionary ideas.